How did Ron of Lynchburg, Virginia go from drug dealing to home ownership? Hear this and more on this episode of DB Homes for Hope, where homes last generations. I'm in my new era. I'm better in my new era. Welcome to this episode of DB Homes for Hope, where homes last generations. We're going to meet Ron Austin of Lynchburg, Virginia. He went from pushing drugs on the street to buying a home in the same neighborhood. Ron has a phenomenal story. He's a first-time homeowner in his immediate family, and I am so looking forward. Ron, thank you so much for joining us today. So, Ron, tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Ron. I'm 38, single, no kids. Currently working at a pipe manufacturing company in Lynchburg, Virginia.
So ladies, he is very available. That's what I heard. So Ron, how did you find DB Homes for Hope?
I was introduced through a friend, Cordell, who was a client at the time that you had. We was having conversations. We had a couple conversations about, getting into real estate, and he knew that was something that I always aspired to do. So he pointed me in your direction.
But why did you pursue financial coaching? Like, what did you want to do with your money?
Well, at the time, I was pretty much on like hard times at the time, honestly. The goals that I had set, they was kind of a little hit or miss at that time. But I eventually got with you, and we worked on that. But the experience that I got from you working with you kind of helped me out a whole lot.
Okay.
Structuring my goals.
All right. So there are three things that DB Homes for Hope helps our clients with. The first one is making sure that people achieve a 650 and above on their credit score. And so we worked weekly to achieve that. So how was that experience for you?
It was wonderful. It was a bit much in a good way. The accountability that I got from you being on, calling and checking in and making sure that, the goals that we set for the week, the goals that we set for the day, the goals that we set for the month, that I was checking those off and making sure that I stayed in line with that. That helped out a whole lot. It helped a lot.
So was this your first time, having a budget, allocating or distributing your money with percentages?
Yeah, it really was. A lot of the concepts that you had introduced me to, I vaguely heard about, but nothing that I actually tried to apply to my real life situations. And with you kind of guiding me and giving me that structure, it helped a lot. Yeah.
Okay. So what did you do before you started working at the pipe company?
Before that, I was working in sales. I was a store manager at McDonald's for about 2 years. Then I left McDonald's and started doing door-to-door sales up in Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your story. So you said sales. You actually were a pharmaceutical rep on the street before, right? That's sales.
Yeah, I guess we can call it that for political reasons, yeah. Right. But I made some choices as a young adult that didn't shed too much light onto the individual that I actually was. I don't want to necessarily, minimize it to being a product of my environment, but I did make the decisions myself. I was incarcerated for selling drugs. I did time from when I was 19 to 23. Then I got reincarcerated when I was 25, and I was released when I was 32. I ended up meeting you around about 3 years ago.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm 38 now, so yeah.
So you hear Ron's story, and so what I want you all viewers to see is that Ron made some choices that cost him a decade in prison. However, when he came out, he made a decision to say, I'm going to change these things in my life. And he connected with a financial coach, me, Coach Davina, and he'll tell you it wasn't always rainbows and butterflies, but he did get to a 650 and above on his credit score because he worked diligently. He did minimize his debt and achieve 43% and below on his debt to income ratio. And ultimately, Ron has money saved. So ladies, he's single. He does have money saved for an emergency, and he's a homeowner. So he got the keys. So in a short while, right?
Yeah.
You're 38 now. You've been in your house for almost 3 years.
Yeah, going on 3 years.
Right.
Yeah.
That's pretty significant.
Yeah.
And so from a decade in prison to 3 years being a homeowner, I mean, he redeemed the time. And I just have to say that when we're talking about money is a spiritual issue. It's not just, physical, it's a spiritual issue. And it says in the Bible, right? Proverbs, I think it's 3:22, it said a good person, a good man or woman leaves an inheritance to his children's children. Ron's not even married yet, doesn't have any children, but he's already, laying down the foundation. So, I mean, Ron, I applaud you, brother. That's really good.
Thank you. I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
So what made this experience different, though? I mean, it's because you had some knowledge of money, and you were getting money legally after you came and made a change in your life. But what made this experience different? Like,
For me, it was a humbling experience. I had to admit that I needed the help that you was willing to provide. The accountability, I think, was the most important part, for real, honestly, because it's one thing to kind of have setting those goals for ourselves, but having that partner that kind of checks in and makes sure that is we still on track with making sure everything is in line with the time and date that we have set for us to proceed in the manners that we are choosing to proceed in.
right, because that means he had to stop doing some things, maybe that eating out as much. That didn't mean he stopped eating out altogether. It just means you picked and chose when was appropriate based on your budget. Budget is not a bad thing. It's a B word, but it's not a bad thing. Which app do you use on a regular basis?
The Dave Ramsey app, the
Right.
budgeting app.
Yeah, the Every Dollar app. I personally use that. I'm a financial certified coach with Dave Ramsey. And these principles work. They're biblical principles. He didn't make them up. It straight came out of the Bible. So now that you've gotten your credit score up, you reduce your debt to income, and you're a homeowner with money in the bank, how has this helped you influence other people?
I get a lot of people reaching out with advice when it, to situations that I was basically in, that they are kind of going through now, and looking for some advice on life in general, and I'm able to provide that for them. So that's been a blessing as well.
Right.
Yeah.
You're blessed to be a blessing. Did you all hear that? It said it's been a blessing. And you know how our people are. If this joker can do it, they're like, I can do it too, right?
Right. And which is true, though.
It is very true.
Yeah.
It's accessible to anyone.
Right.
Because are your parents homeowners?
No, they're not.
Are your siblings homeowners?
No.
How many siblings do you have, Ron?
I have 5. I have 2 brothers and I have 3 brothers and 2 sisters.
Right. And he's the eldest. So he is leading the pack through home ownership, financial freedom, working a full-time legal job. Many times you see in the public that there's a negative connotation with black males. Ron is unmarried, no illegitimate children. He is a homeowner. He's a full-time employee. Got a raise, less than a year ago or so?
Yeah, a couple months ago.
Right. And he's only you've been on this job, actually you've gotten 2 raises since you've been there. You've been on this job for almost 5 years now.
Going on 5 years.
Going on 5 years. So listeners, I just really want you all to see that financial freedom, home ownership, it is accessible to all of us. It doesn't matter where we start. What matters is where we're going. We're progressing with each choice that we make, because it is a choice to, go through the drive-through as opposed to eating the food that's in your refrigerator.
Right.
At some point, we will be able to splurge, but we've budgeted for it.
Right.
I mean, you can see Ron, he doesn't look like he's struggling. He's got a smile on his face, cool cat. So what advice would you give our listeners, Ron?
I definitely would advise people to reaching out to somebody such as Miss Davina, who could be that accountability partner to you, and just staying focused, keeping your mindset in a positive mindset, because the journey is a journey. It's not gonna be a cakewalk. It's a journey, and that comes with highs and lows. Just sticking there throughout and trusting in the process. At the end, you'll enjoy it more.
Right. I mean, we were talking at some point almost every day. We were talking every day because, again, I want to meet you as a coach where you are, but I am going to push you. I mean, we didn't always agree. We're having a cool conversation now, but some days I think he wanted me to leave his place.
The compromises, it was always there, though. It was certain things that I understood, that the angle that you was coming at, that I had to understand why you was being hard on this particular thing. And I was able to, that was also part of the humbling, the humiliation part of the process.
Humiliation or humility?
Humility.
Right.
We're not like in a negative connotation, but just for me to kind of let my guards down and allowing myself to flourish into that individual that she knew that I could be. So.
Right. And that's the key. A coach sees things in you that you may not see in yourself. This is true of athletics. I know it was true
Right.
of me in the Army, but to allow you to reach the goal that you set for yourself. So it's not that someone is pushing their
Right.
desires on you, but asking the question, Ron, where do you want to
What you
go?
want, and
And that's
if
where we're going.
if it aligns to what I'm trying to do with the
Absolutely.
people that I'm trying to bring along with me, then
Right.
absolutely right. Right.
Because he has a line of people that are looking at him. We already talked about his siblings, but what about your nephew? I mean,
Nephews, nieces, even friends, kids. So yeah, a lot is not on my shoulders, but people understand. Like he understand the way to go about life.
right. And so we're talking about money, and Ron has achieved quite a bit of success in his finances. But the most pivotal thing out of our entire, relationship as coach and the one being coach, I'm most proud of that Ron became a believer because all of this stuff will perish. But what we do for the Lord, that will last, the eternal value. Tell us about that journey, Ron.
That's another thing that I was able to gather from this relationship. You reintroducing me to God. Getting me to pay my tithes, going to church, volunteering within the church, volunteering within the community. All these things I was able to gather from the relationship that we developed over the course of time.
Right. And I have to, like, while I appreciate all these accolades, it's definitely not me. These are principles out of the Bible. These are principles that are tried and true, and they're going to be the same today, tomorrow, and forever. So, yes, witnessing to Ron about finances, but also witnessing to Ron about these things are just a tip of the iceberg. You're made in God's image, and oh my goodness, when you see yourself the way He sees you, we are unstoppable.
Right. Being reintroduced to God on the path that I was in when I met Miss Davina, that relationship has been one of the most transcendent things about the whole process. It allowed me to think more or be more in tune with myself because
Right.
of the love and respect that I understood that God has for me.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness, you're just giving me chills. This is so good. So let's do a quick recap. You went from being a distressed renter almost, right? Because you
Right.
were, I mean, tell us about that story. You were sleeping on someone's sofa.
Right, I was actually staying with my I had just got out of a relationship. I was living with my girlfriend for a while, and things had fell apart with that. So I started staying with my father's wife for a little while, and then I started renting out the place downtown. So yeah, that was quite a process in and of itself as well.
So Ron went from being a distressed renter who would, whenever the lease was up, they were going to increase the price, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yes. You forgot about that.
Yeah. So they was trying to make it go to a month, or I was gonna have to do a 12-month lease. Both cases, the rent was going up anyway. But the month rent was gonna be a lot more higher than
Right.
12-month lease. But I didn't want to do another 12-month lease because I was in the market for buying a house at the time.
Right. In the market, and then achieve that. And so Ron had I guess several houses, and then you came to me, and then what'd you say?
I know y'all was renovating a house on your husband, Mr. Danny. I know y'all was doing y'all renovation. So I actually, where we stood with in the process of the renovation of the house on 13th Street, and you told me that it was almost finished, and I actually would it be done by a specific date, and you said yeah, and that date aligned with the ending of my current lease where I was at downtown.
Right. What he just said is absolutely true. But Ron wanted to know, like, you're renovating this house that you got for $7,000.
Right.
That you just put all this money in.
Right. Is it for sale?
Right, exactly.
Right.
Why can't I get this house?
Right.
Essentially what you said. And I was like, well, why can't you get this house? It's going to be for sale. And clearly we wanted to sell it to a person that had already has a track record that's going to stay in the community, because with DB Homes for Hope, we want to build community. We're making a lot of money too, but we want to build community. We want people to come to Lynchburg or wherever you are, but particularly here in Lynchburg, and restore our neighborhoods, because it's a beautiful place to live. Lynchburg loves us, and we want to love Lynchburg. Ron bought the house But this is the kicker. We knew that we wanted our clients to get at least $5,000 of equity in the house. But how much equity did you get in your house?
It was 13, right?
$13,000. So again, ladies, he's single. Cash. Cha-ching. Do you hear this?
Not yet.
No, just kidding. But most people don't have that amount of equity coming into a house within the first year, and he's a first-time homeowner. So what other ways are you getting cash out of this house, Ron, that you've only lived in for 3 years?
Also a house hack.
Yes, tell us about it.
I have put my home on a couple short-term rental platforms, websites, online, and I've had quite a few clients come through. I'm charging $850 a month. It's a 1-bedroom, full bath.
Your house is not a 1-bedroom.
Well, no,
right.
What I'm offering is one bedroom. My house is a 2.5 bathroom.
Right.
But it's a shared living space. Yeah.
Ron got a house in less than a year of coaching, and then house hack. So the downstairs suite, which is queen bed. I mean, it's really nice for $850 with his own bathroom. So the person has their space on the first floor, and Ron's upstairs, and the other suite that's upstairs. They never have to see each other. One works day, one works night. But guess what? They're helping pay almost 90 to 80% of the mortgage.
Yeah.
That is significant. And he was a distressed renter. $850 didn't even cover the rent.
No, right.
Right. But $850 is 80 to 90% of his mortgage, and he still has coins in his pocket, enjoying life.
Yeah, right.
Right. Keeping the DTI down, savings up. We're about to end this segment, but I have to say, hard work pays off. And Ron has his favorite scripture. He was an unbeliever who knew of the Lord, but didn't unlock the power. He didn't get that supernatural until he just gave his life back to the Lord. And now things are happening. And just all around him. He understands the mission. You are blessed to be a blessing. Where much is given, much is required. And Ron is doing that. So I just wanted to, just sit and talk with you. I thank you for spending this time with us today, Ron.
Hey, thank you.
We'll close on your scripture.
Okay. So the scripture is Proverbs 21:5. The plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty.
Hasty decisions lead to poverty, but the diligent who know the Lord.
Proverbs 25.
21:5. That's right, 21:5. Well, thank you for this time. DB Home for Hope, and segment 1, episode 1, Homes That Last Generations. Thank you for watching this episode of DB Homes for Hope, where we have homes that last generations. If you like this episode, go ahead and click the like button or leave us a comment so we'll know what to have for future episodes. And most importantly, subscribe. We want you to move from being a distressed renter to a confident homeowner. See you next time.